Keeping the number one spot in the rankings has been very difficult in college basketball this season, as number one Purdue attempts to do just that by going on the road in the Big Ten at Michigan. And this is an Outside Shots college basketball betting preview, and I am your host, Scott Phillips. Before we dive into this matchup, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell for alerts for all of our YouTube content, which will include college basketball picks from myself and Eli Hershkovich, NBA content with game previews and player props, as well as plays from the PGA Tour, and of course this weekend's NFL Conference Championship weekend. TheLines.com also has all of your plays that you need to be looking towards. We've got odds from multiple books, so you can do your shopping and find your best price. We have expert analysis from across the major sports as well. A lot of great information to be found on TheLines.com. And you should also tune into our Discord community, which has been very active throughout the course of the season, particularly our college basketball page. We've got a lot of users in there who provide a lot of keen insight into the teams that they watch, including some tips and analysis and some breaking news and notes. And we will get picks from myself and my co-host Eli Hershkovich live in the Discord that will be sent out in notifications as well. So be sure to look towards our Discord for tons of day and night chatter on the latest college basketball lines. And be sure to follow the lines on Twitter at TheLinesUS. And you can follow me, Scott Phillips, at Phillips Hoops. So let's dive into this Michigan and Purdue matchup. A little bit of a fascinating one. And to me, there's one major storyline that stands out above all else, and that is the health of freshman sensation Jet Howard for the Michigan Wolverines. Howard turned his ankle and suffered an ankle sprain in a win over Minnesota, Michigan's last contest. He was seen walking in a boot. He only played for 15 minutes and did not return to action once that ankle injury came down. He has not practiced as of 2 days ago, and head coach Juwan Howard, who also happens to be Jet's father, has somewhat downplayed Jet's availability for this contest on Thursday. Now, keep in mind that there's a lot of gamesmanship to be had here. There's a lot of things that coaches say, but then they do them on the other hand to just try to throw some maybe some misinformation out at another team or to try to guide them into a game plan that isn't necessarily the right one. But for me, Jet Howard's injury comes first and foremost in this matchup. So keep that in mind while shopping. Now let's look at the lines overall. This one opened at Purdue -5 in most places with an over-under at 136. Purdue, again, the number one team in the country this season. They are 19-1, 9-1 in the Big Ten. Their only loss so far, a 1-point defeat at home to Rutgers at the start of the new year. Michigan, on the other hand, 11-8, 5-3 in the Big Ten, still very much in the conference mix, despite an up and down non-conference portion of the schedule. Michigan's record has suffered some losses to some really quality teams. They lost at home to Virginia. They lost in neutral settings to North Carolina and Kentucky. And in terms of facing the National Player of the Year leader in Purdue's Zach Edey, Michigan has already had some quality dress rehearsals in facing Oscar Tshiebwe of Kentucky and Armando Bacot of North Carolina. So they should be prepared for what Edey gives them on the interior going against Hunter Dickinson. That should be one of the more fun big man matchups we see in college basketball this season. And again, to me, the one thing to target in this game, regardless of Jet Howard's status and his health, is going to be the under. It's already gone down to 135.5 at some places. This is going to be a grind-it-out affair, in my opinion. Now, Purdue has already played one of the slowest tempos in the country this season. They hover in the 330s. They like to maximize possessions by getting the ball inside to their 7'4" center, Edey. He has been the National Player of the Year front-runner for a reason. He's a double-double machine. You have to double him in the post. And even if you do at 7'4", he is nearly impossible to move off of the block at around 290 pounds. So again, Purdue's going to slow things down. They do have quite a bit of turnovers on the offensive end, but Michigan doesn't force a lot of turnovers on the defensive end. So that's something to keep an eye on for the Purdue offense that is starting a freshman backcourt of Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer. However, I think they do keep this game at a really slow pace. Michigan, on the other hand, can play up-tempo. They like to run and gun with teams if given the opportunity, but they've also had a lot of slow-down games in the Big Ten recently, particularly their last two matchups, the win over Minnesota, in which Howard received his injury, and a game against Maryland, which was their second game against the Terps this season. So for me, you look at a Purdue team that has not allowed an opponent to score 70 points in a game this season. The Boilermakers have allowed 55 points or less to opponents in 3 of their past 4 games. This Michigan offense, if Jet Howard is not playing, could really struggle to find opportunities outside of Hunter Dickinson. Dickinson has done a nice job against Purdue last season in terms of utilizing his face-up game to knock down jumpers and to not get into a battle in the post with guys like Trevion Williams and Zach Edey. So I think Hunter Dickinson should be able to get his, in terms of his average production. He can step out and hit three-pointers. He can step out and hit elbow jumpers. He can make a lot of different dynamic plays as a passer in those settings as well. So I think that Michigan's offense can do some things against Purdue in terms of Dickinson and what you can operate with him out of the elbows in the high post. But again, if Jet Howard's missing, all the metrics have proven time and time again that Michigan is a significantly worse team without its potential first-round pick on the floor. Their offensive ratings plummet. Their defensive ratings plummet. Jet Howard has played about 75% of Michigan's possessions this season. With him on the floor, they shoot 39% from three-point range. Without him on the floor, they only shoot 32% from three-point range. And against a Purdue defense that is one of the best in the nation at limiting quality three-point shots, that is really something to watch for, because Jet Howard is a game changer with his ability to knock down contested shots over quality defenders. We've seen that in the game against Iowa when he had a shooting contest against Chris Murray. We've seen it numerous times where Howard can just space up and start to get hot in the course of a half. Michigan really needs him on the floor to maximize its offense and stay in this game. Even if he's not healthy, even if he is playing in this game and he's limited, I think Purdue's able to camp on him and make sure that he is not doing the things that he is supposed to be doing. Again, that's a major thing for me in this matchup. I think that this will be low to begin with, even if Jet Howard was healthy. But now that Howard is potentially out of this game and dealing with a sprained ankle and mobility issues, I think that this could even be a slower game in which Purdue really drags things out and Michigan kind of lets them dictate tempo. Now, again, there's some interesting chatter on the line on this one. Purdue started out -5. It's increased to -5.5, -6 in some places. Purdue hasn't fared historically well against Michigan. They've lost 6 of their last 7 against the Wolverines, and this Michigan team is very tough to put a finger on as well. They tend to play to their competition. As we've seen, they've had the close losses to Virginia and North Carolina and Kentucky. They've also had some puzzling mid-major results where they've kind of let some of these teams like Eastern Michigan hang around with them when they shouldn't. So for me, I don't love the line on this one because Michigan is a tough out at home. They tend to get up for tough opponents, and Purdue has also done a poor job of covering the spread because of some of those turnover issues with their freshman guards. So that's why I'm targeting the under on this one. It's down at 135.5 in some places, of which I will play that under at 135.5. Again, I think Purdue's tempo, the way that they're able to establish Edey on the interior, and the loss of potentially Jet Howard not playing in this one means it's going to be a slow, grind it out Big Ten contest. It should be a fun one, though. Hunter Dickinson against Edey is a marquee matchup. Edey's got a chance to really prove himself against Dickinson after only playing 17 minutes per contest coming off the bench and being productive last season. So again, this one should be a key matchup for the Big Ten. Michigan looking to stay with Purdue atop the Big Ten standings. Purdue is trying to start a stretch in which they play every single opponent that is top 65 in the KenPom Power Rankings for the next several stretch of games. So they have a lot of difficult games upcoming on the schedule. They're going to be looking for a road win in this one. So for me, I'm playing the under 135.5. I think it's going to be a slow, grinded out affair. I think even if Jett Howard doesn't play, Michigan has a chance to stay in this one because they've got a number of different guys that can attack you off the dribble, like Kobe Buffkin and Doug McDaniel on high ball screens when they play in drop coverage with Zach Edey on the defensive end. But I don't think they're going to have the offensive firepower to overcome the loss of Jett Howard and that spacing that he can provide from the three-point line. So keep it to college basketball previews here on Outside Shots. We're going to have a lot more coverage as we approach March Madness. Myself and my co-host Eli Hershkovich will also be dropping plays into our Discord, and keep it to our Twitter account at @TheLinesUS. For myself, I'm Scott Phillips. Thanks for joining me, and be sure to keep it to here for more great college basketball and betting content throughout the season.